Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Bava Kamma, pages 94 through 100, Sadi Dal through Kuf. 94. Hamavkir Karmo, if you declare ownerless your kerem, your vineyard, Vishkim Laboker, and the next morning you wake up, Ubitzaro, and you harvest it. So looks like your declaration that it was ownerless was basically a scam, a bluff. Chaya beperet ba'olot v'shecha. You're obligated in most of the laws of agriculture, the emoluments that are given to the poor. However, patur min hamasir, you're exempt from tithing. Why? Because so long as there was ever a moment of patur, of exemption from tithing, because this field was ownerless and was not in your full possession, it never goes back to being obligated in maasrot. So you're exempt from maser, but all the other emoluments for the poor you must give. 95. Gazel behema vizkina. What happens if you stole an animal and it gets older? And when it gets older, it gets a lot older. Avadim vizkina, or you stole a slave and it gets a lot older. So the younger it is, the more valuable it is. The older it is, it's more decrepit. It's not as valuable because it can't work as much, whether an animal or a person. Meshalim kishas hagazelo di Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir says you pay based upon the value that the entity was at the moment of the theft, which is more than its current value, because now it's older, it's worth less. But you're paying what you would have owed back in the beginning. Whereas the sages say, when it comes to slaves, you can say to the original owner, here it is, here's your slave. In other words, you don't pay cash, but you actually return the item. In this case, the item is a human being. So that actually works against the original owner because he lost years ago a young, vigorous, strapping slave and now gets back a decrepit older person. But it works to the benefit of the thief, who ends up not having to pay cash, just returns whatever he stole. 96. Tzadivav. All the examples of a person who has to swear regarding a financial situation, according to Torah law, they swear and they do not have to pay, meaning the unwillingness to swear might have resulted in a financial obligation. But the willingness to swear results in an exemption from that potential financial obligation. And there is no such case in Torah of someone who swears and still must pay. Tzadi Zayin, 97. What happens if you steal somebody's boat? You steal somebody's boat, and then you worked it, you used it for a shipping company, you went out fishing, you used this boat to your advantage. Amarav, Ratza Sechar Ratza Pachasa. Well, the owner of the boat, who now knows that it was stolen and you stole it and he wants to get paid back, has a choice. He can either charge rent for the time that the thief had it, meaning we can retroactively make this as though it were a kosher arrangement. That instead of an act of thievery, it's like you rented it without my permission, but now that it's all over, you're going to pay me what you would have paid me had you rented it legitimately. Alternatively, the owner can insist upon getting paid back the depreciation in the value of the boat because it was worth $1,000,000 a year ago, and now it's worth only $900,000. So it went down in value $100,000 because you used it and depreciated it. You could choose either the rent or the depreciation. Shmuel says, Shmuel says there's no choice here. There's no option of making this into a rental retroactively. Rather, what must the victim take? The victim takes the pachat, the depreciation. 98. If you throw a coin belonging to your fellow into the Mediterranean, the Yam HaGadol, you're exempt from paying back. Why? Why should you be exempt? I mean, you ruined, you stole some guy's money, and now it's gone. So Amar, well, because the thief can say, Hamanach kamach. After all, the coin is right there in front of you. Just go into the ocean and take it. Now, it seems a little ridiculous, but he could say it. Ibayit shakli. Okay, go if you really want to take it, go find it. So the Gemara then says, well, that's not entirely true. Hani mili bitzlulin. That's only true when the water is clear and you could actually find the coin. The kachazile, you could see it. If the waters were muddied, then this argument does not hold water, no pun intended. And you'd have to pay back the guy because he can't get his coin back. And it's only true that you're exempt if you rolled it into the ocean. But if you grabbed it from his hand, in your hand, that's actual thievery. You'd have to give back a full-fledged restitution. So this whole business of you took a person's coin and threw it into the ocean, it's only when you never really stole it 100%. You moved it, you rolled it into the waters, and it was clear waters. But if it's not clear waters or you actually grabbed it, you got to pay the full amount. 99. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Tabachuman shekilkel. What happens if a professional slaughterer, a professional butcher, messes up a shechita, and now the animal is not kosher and is essentially worthless? I feel like a tabach tzipori, even if he's like the tabach of tzipori, the best of the best, he's going to be exempt from having to make payment. Lokas, but we have another Gemara that says he's obligated. So lokas kan bechinam kan besachar. Well, the distinction is drawn between whether he's being paid for his services or not being paid for his services. If he's doing it for free, then you can't. Then if he messes up, it's not his fault, and you can collect nothing. However, if you're paying him for his services and he messes up, then you can charge him for the value of the animal that was lost. And so, as Rabbi Zera said, if you want to make sure when you give your animal over to the butcher, to the slaughterer, that if he fouls up, he's going to pay you back for what he did wrong, give him a dinar first. So now he's a paid employee. It's no longer a freebie. And once he's a paid employee, any error on his part has to be compensated for. He has to give you restitution. Kuf. 100. Tani Rav Yosef. You shall tell them or make known to them this refers to a livelihood. Et haderech, the way, chasadim. This refers to acts of love and kindness. Yelchu, you shall go. Zebikor cholim refers to visiting the sick. Ba, in it, zukvura, this refers to burial of the dead. Et hamas zehadin, the deed refers to strict justice. Asher yasun, which shall be done. Zulifnim Mishur Sadin refers to beyond the strict letter of the law, that Judaism encourages all these things. There's justice, but there's also beyond the letter of the law. In addition, of course, to livelihood and loving kindness, Bikkur Cholim, burial, these are the values that are being taught. And Lifnei Mishur Sadin, beyond the letter of the law, reminds us that even though sometimes we could get away with something, if it's indecent, if it's immoral, if it's better to do something beyond the law, then we act virtuously beyond the letter of the law. Everyone have a great week.